Hello, hello, hello. What's up? What's up? What's up? My name is Harrison, and welcome to Finding Your Superpower for Leaders. Note for leaders, not for villains, not for victims, but maybe for heroes who are leaders and leaders who are heroes. Uh, I'm one of your hosts for today, Harrison. I'm the co founder of Gold Zone Group, a small group of companies, and we have a leadership center, a wellness center, a medical clinic, a technology company, an investment company. But by far, our favorite project is our leadership center, which deals with people because we love people and people are the essence of what makes life fun. And joining me today is the fun and wonderful CEO, and her name is Victoria. Hello, Victoria. Welcome. Victoria, you are muted and you are on.
Good afternoon, good day. Yes, I am unmuted right now. And so, once again, good day, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Victoria. I'm the CEO of the Go Zone Group. So, I'm excited about our topic today, superpower. And I love Netflix. I love watching superhero movies.
Hey, what's funny, Victoria, is that we have a superpower here today because we were both called Harrison at the start of the session. I just relabeled you to Victoria.
Love to have some of your power.
Oh, yeah, I'm showing up in both places. It's very funny, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
So,
Hey,
Victoria,
Harrison.
I like to ask you every week. I get in before you can ask me. Why did you want to talk about superpowers
And
today?
well, that's a very good question, because, well, superpower, I think, like I mentioned in my post, right, is being popularized by Chris Doe, and he talked a lot about superpower. And I feel that, superpower is quite misunderstood. And as a leader, a lot of what we can get done depend on how much power we have. And a lot of results are dependent on how much power we have or don't have. So the more power we have, the more we can get done. So I feel that it's a great topic from a leadership point of view to understand more about power, superpower, and what does it really mean. How can we exercise more power and superpower in our lives so that we can create more of the results we want, and we can use that to lead and influence other people more. Because what's the point of leading, or what's the point of if we don't have power, nothing is going to happen.
Hmm.
In fact,
So,
just before the session, I had this question on my mind, because just because we talk about superpower doesn't mean we are all on the same page. And I would love to hear, what does superpower mean to people if they are willing to comment, and what does that mean to them if they have superpower. That's
that's
something
a
that I'm
good.
interested to know.
So, everyone, type in the chat. What does superpower mean to you? What does superpower mean to you? And while you're doing that, everyone, we have a slight delay from when you type in the chat and when we see it, and from when we say something to when you hear it. So there's some delay in there. Our omnipresent superpower is not exactly simultaneous. So Victoria, you mentioned power, and superpower is about getting more stuff done. So if you have regular amount of power, you get a regular amount of stuff done. If you have a small amount of power, you will get a small amount done. And if you have no power, you get nothing done. And many people, they go
Well,
through
guess
life.
what?
Yep, go ahead.
You finish your sentence first.
I was going to say, many people go
The-
through life complaining and blaming and talking about how the government doesn't provide them enough resources, how the company doesn't pay them enough, how the leadership doesn't listen to them, how the customers are buying the cheapest thing. So that it's very easy to complain about everybody else. And what I was going to say is that this is a low level of power.
That's right. And I wanted to say that, since burnout is such a common, such a topic, is a topic that people talk about a lot. So when you have burnout, you actually have no power. You feel powerless, no energy, no power, and nothing gets done.
So
Can't
you're
think
saying that,
clearly.
yeah,
Yeah, can't think clearly. So basically, having burnout means you lose your power.
burnt out, you lose your power. Huh. So maybe, just maybe, like I like to talk about six horses from the old days of having horsepower. We have six horses going in one direction and six horses going in the other direction. And the power that you're utilizing is 12 horses, but six of them are going in opposite directions. You end up exhausted and you feel frustrated because there's nothing going on. So this is powerless. You feel immobilized, you feel powerless, and you're going to burn out after a while of doing that. And tapping a superpower means that everybody's heading in the same direction. And so you've got six horses going in the same direction. It's much more powerful than 12 horses going nowhere, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. So yeah, and I think the question is, so we have people, a lot of people talk about what does superpower mean to them. You want to go through that?
Sure,
Or we can talk about, yeah, we can go through that.
sure. Start
You're
with the
going to
first
bring
one.
up
I'll put them on
the
the screen. Yep,
awesome, awesome self confidence from Angie. All right, self confidence. Self confidence does give you more power because more confidence I have in myself, the more ability, the more I'm able to lead other people and influence other people, and the clearer I am.
right. So this is a
Thank you,
big one, isn't it?
Angie.
Confidence.
Yeah, that's a big one, and I think self confidence is very lack of for most people because it's
Yep.
not about our confidence in other people. In fact, how confident we feel about other people depends a lot on how confident I feel about myself. The more confidence I feel about myself, the more confidence I can feel in other people.
Mm.
But most people have it asked backward. They think that they want the confidence from other people before they can feel the confidence. It's actually the opposite direction.
Well, how does that work? How does that work, Victoria? If you want the confidence from other people and those other people are looking to you for confidence, then how's that going to work?
Yes. Well, it doesn't work unless the people that you deal with have more confidence as than you, and you can tap on some of their confidence temporarily, but it doesn't last. It's not sustainable, which means that your confidence only come when you're around those people or when you're around situation that that can give you certain I would say certainty and security. It's more certainty and security. It's not real confidence.
Mm. So if superpowers are confidence, or confidence is a superpower, then what happens is when you have that, you are confident that you're going to make it no matter what happens. You're confident that you can
That's right.
respond to whatever happens, that you can thrive, that you can react, that you can do what you need to do, and you're going to come out on top. So that's a pretty good one, isn't it?
That's right. Yes.
Excellent. Next one.
So we have quite a lot. Next one will be David. My superpower is the best way to help my team.
Okay, great.
Anything
But what
to
is the
say to that,
superpower?
Harrison?
What is the superpower? If the superpower itself is the best way to help the team, what is the superpower?
Way. Yeah, what way is that? What method is that?
Yeah, what's the method?
Which
Is it,
which is the best way to help your team?
yeah,
And Alex Sang say that great power come with great responsibility. That's one of my favorite quote from Spider-Man.
is that where it's from?
Yes. Well, at least that's what I think. That's where I heard it from. I
So
love
this,
that. That's what the uncle said to him before he died.
I see. So does that mean that responsibility is a superpower?
Yes. The more I can take ownership of my results, my problems, my good, bad, and the ugly, the more power I have.
Mm-hmm. Getting deep
Ta-da!
there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Sankar, power to give to life. What does that mean? What is that? That you might need to elaborate more. And Anya, superpower means the energy that fuels my confidence to do anything. Okay, okay, that's good. The question is, where do you get your energy from, huh? And Le Tang, correct? I- Le Tang, soul spread a positive voice that changed lives. Superpower. Okay. And Jean says that superpower is the driving force that empowers me to overcome any challenge. I think being able to overcome challenge is a superpower because that takes quite a bit of resilience. And well, it's easy when things are easy. The challenge is when you have the clarity and resilience and creativity to solve any challenge that comes along your way. That is a superpower, in my opinion. And Lee Xiang, Harrison, you have anything to add to that?
No, keep going. You're doing great.
Lee Xiang, superpower to me equals to super powerful in everything I do and say. So super powerful meaning what? Meaning you can deliver everything you do and you can do everything you say, or you might want to elaborate that, Li Xiang. And we have Marion.
Mm-hmm.
Superpower for me is that unique ability that only I can give. Okay, does that mean you're special?
Yes. Yes, it means being special.
Lilybird. Superpower to me is when a leader can inspire the team, being a great influencer to the people who is eager to follow. Yep, I think being able to influence and engage a team is not easy because it really does take a lot of understanding, people skill, dealing with people's challenges in order to influence them. So yes, I would say that is one superpower.
Mm-hmm. So, what about you, Victoria? What does superpower mean to you?
Well, I guess for me, superpower means is something that uh, very close to what I shared just now. Superpower for me is whatever that I can own in myself. That uh, I will come back to the basic. For me, that's the basic fundamental, which is I will share. Uh, I can be where I'm at. I can share of myself without worrying about anything that I was sharing this with someone the other day that if I can be honest with where I'm at and share with the world, I don't have to worry about people finding out any secret about me, right? So that's my superpower. I just share it. And it has nothing to do with vulnerability. It has nothing to do with sharing my failure, but more got to do with it is my experience. This is what I've been through. This is what I have done. This is what I've overcome. And to be able to share with the world without worrying, without trying to be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
So in short, to be able to be honest with where I'm at and to
Okay.
be the same person, whether I'm here talking to everyone who know me or don't know me, and whether I'm in private or in public, I'm not different. I'm not a different person.
You know, something interesting, Victoria, what you're saying is the same that Robert Ponte encouraged you to share when you're on stage in 2007. And
Yeah,
he asked you, and you said, to be yourself and to own yourself and to speak for yourself and just be comfortable as yourself. And that's an interesting thing.
yeah.
It just flashed in my mind as you were sharing. Amazing. So
I wasn't
just
thinking about that, but yes, that's what he said to me 20 years ago.
yeah, you're lucky I didn't have time to
Close to.
get the video going, I can play it for everybody, and they'll see how far
Yeah,
you've come with time, right?
yeah,
So
yes,
Karen has here she says superpower to me is grit. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Yes, indeed.
yes,
Grit,
definitely.
grit
Yeah,
is definitely a superpower.
yeah. I think, hey, I appreciate everyone. So Angie said being authentic. So I really appreciate everyone for commenting. It's fantastic to see what your thought about superpower is, and it allow us with some dynamic in the whole discussion. One thing I thought about was that if we are going to talk about superpower, uh, isn't it important for us to talk about what is power? Because if we don't have the same understanding around the definition of power, there's no point talking about superpower.
Sounds good to me.
Like, what's the purpose of power? And I think, Harrison, you're the best person to share what does power mean and what does it do? What's the purpose of having power?
To me, a power means the ability to get things done. It's the ability to do. A car that has more power than another car is able to go faster from A to B than the other car, and it can take more with it. So it has a greater carrying capacity. So for us as human beings, if we have a low level of power, then we're at the effect of everything around us, and everybody else's agenda gets imposed on us, and we end up feeling out of control. We feel like our voice doesn't matter, our opinion doesn't matter, and we question whether we even matter at all ourselves. So this is a low level of power. Then we don't get what we want, and we're unhappy about it, or we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that we are happy with not getting what we want and that it's all meant to be anyway. And this is one of the lies that a lot of people tell themselves all the time to justify having no power. And then to say, oh, power is not important, I don't want it. Well, the golden rule is more power is better than less. And there's no such thing from an individual point of view of too much power. And of course, we know that power can corrupt and that it can be a corruptive force, because if it gets to your head and your ego goes crazy and you become power hungry, power crazy, and you just dominate everybody and you don't listen to anyone, this is on the extreme end of it. However, a useful use of power is that you have the ability to make changes in the world. You have the ability to influence people, circumstances, governments, politics, religion, lifestyle, uh, to help people who are starving, who are not earning enough, the underprivileged, to help provide medical care to people who don't have it, to provide education to the uneducated, to raise the standard of living. So the more power we have, the more we can get done. And while we might not be able to impact the whole world in the same way as some of the world leaders do, but we can impact the world around us and the people around us positively with more power. So to
Thank
me,
you.
Victoria, we want power, and there's a professor in Stanford named Jeffrey Pfeiffer who writes a lot about power and why we all should be interested in acquiring more power and more influence, because it's beneficial in so many ways. And we get obsessed with the negative side, but we forget all the positive stuff.
Yeah.
So
You as you were talking, you remind me of a video I saw. Blake Lively, right, the founder of Spanx. I don't know whether everyone here know who she is. She's a billionaire, right?
yeah,
So, how we associate. I like to laugh at, Batman say his superpower is reach, and that is a very funny part in one of the movie. But what it reminds me of that video that she said about, so given that a lot of people associate power with being rich and having money, because that's only one level of power, it's not the only power. But I'm just using that as an example. One of the things that she and you mentioned about how when we acquire more power, and the corrupt power is common, so then how do we as an individual or as a leader to know how to yield our power when we have it, like when we have money. Does it mean that we have more power? Clearly we do. But the question is, how do we yield that power? One of the things she said in that video was that money doesn't change you. In fact, money exaggerate how you are already. If I'm insecure around money, if I have more money, I am going to feel more insecure. I'm going to be more trapped within my insecurity because
Yep.
I'm going to have more to lose. And if I'm generous, when I have more money, I'm going to be more generous. If I'm, what else did she talk about? I thought that was, if I feel powerful when I have more money, then my ability to use it for good purpose is going to be higher. So basically, and something like money exaggerate what is already inside us. It doesn't really change us. But a lot of people will have that judgment or that idea that, oh, you know, that misunderstanding around power. If I have more money, then I'm going to be more corrupted. You will be if you're already corrupted. So it has nothing to do with the money itself. It has more got to do with how we are as an individual, what we believe in, and our values. And to
Hmm.
me, superpower comes a lot from our values more than anything else.
Hmm. Speaking of superpower, Victoria, is that uh, there are two main superpowers in the world: the United States and China, and it's the same term, superpower. So here today we're talking about superpower as an individual. What is it, and how to find our superpower so that we can get more results in the areas that matter to us. So that's what we're talking about today. But if you look at the world, there's the United States as a superpower, then there is China as the counter to the United States. So the United States influence is waning a bit and China is on the rise. So here we have a competition for superpowers, and we can look at how that plays out. And aren't they the ones dictating the rules of the game? United States is the
Yes,
world's reserve currency, and don't they benefit from printing
that's right.
dollars? They can print as much money as they want, and it affects the rest of us by devaluing all of our money by them printing more. And so they're in
Oh,
a
meanwhile, we got to work
unique.
harder and harder.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we got to work harder and harder while they can just print, 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 print. And then
And
the
yep.
amount of a return we get from our investment or from our work, right, get devalued.
And they have military power. So they have 800 military bases around the world, and they spend as much on defense as the other top 10 countries combined. So that's how much the United States is a leader in terms of military power, economic power, and it puts them in a privileged position. So let's talk about what a superpower for an individual is. To me, a superpower is something that you're uniquely gifted with, good at, have developed, have acquired, and it's unique and it's not normal and it's not average and not everybody has it. So everybody can breathe air. So breathing air is not a superpower. Everybody who can walk can walk. That's not a superpower. Everybody can write a check. That's not a superpower. Everybody can write an email, can do a text, can jump on LinkedIn. These are not superpowers. So superpowers are things that we acquire. And the question is, if we're going to find a superpower, Victoria, where do we find them? Are they under the table? Are they behind the door? Are they behind the curtain? Where's my superpower hanging out? And I got something for you. The good news or the bad news? Which one you want first? Here's the news.
Let's have a vote. Good news or the bad news? Okay, good news or the other news?
Good
They
news
are
or the
all
other news?
news.
How we acquire our superpowers is through our shadow, it's through our dark side, it's through our weaknesses. It's through that side that we acquire the superpower. And the people who are focused on all positive have no superpower, because positive alone is not a superpower, because it's only 50% of the equation. So we have to be able to tap the power of the dark side. That's why Star Wars, if you look at it, the power of the dark side, and the people who are all focused on the light and the good side, then the dark side comes in and competes with them. We have this whole competition for good and bad and dark and evil and all this playing out. And many of us we don't want to look at our dark side. We don't want to look at our shadow. We don't want to look at where we are a villain, and we want to be the hero. So we claim the hero position, but we haven't embraced where we are a villain. So it's by recognizing that we have both victim and villain in us, and that we play these different roles throughout life, in our formative years growing up, and in our businesses and in our careers and in our relationships. We play victim, villain, and once in a while we tap the hero. And here,
Well,
your
actually, more
superpower,
people.
just to say this, Victoria, your superpower makes you a superhero. So the superhero has tapped their superpower, and they've done that by embracing both sides. Go ahead.
Agree. So the challenge is most people are more vested to either want to be the victim or to be the hero. No one wants to be no one wants to see their villain, as in their villainous behavior. And that's the part that you're talking about, right? If we can embrace that, we can transcend that into being a superhero, should we choose to. And the
Yes,
real
that's right.
power is not the being a victim or behaving like a victim where it's everyone else's fault has no power.
So being a victim is no power. Being a villain has more power than being a victim. But the ultimate is to be a hero, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got a slide for this here, Victoria. I'll just put it up. We can see the three primary roles that people play out here. The hero, that's your superhero, where you've tapped your superpower for the benefit of others. The villain, where you're tapping your superpower for your benefit. And the victim, where all the benefit goes to someone else. So the victims, the benefit of their work, their labor, their talent goes to other people. The villain, it goes to them. And the hero is the one that balances the two out. And so the journey is from victim to villain and from villain to hero. But many of us get stuck on the villain part. We can't see ourselves as a villain. We just want to see ourselves as a hero and cast ourselves in a hero light. And that doesn't have
Yeah.
as much power, because if you can't do both sides of it, if you're stuck on one side, you have no power with one side. You have to have both. You have to recognize where you are a victim, where you are a villain, bring the two together. Where someone has villainized you, where you have villainized other, you bring those two together, and then this is where your dark side, you can wrangle that into becoming a hero, where you take all that talent, that know-how, that knowledge, and channel it into helping others and making a difference for the world and other people. And I
Yeah.
wanted to say, Victoria, that we have a list of superpowers that we have from the movies and from stories. I have a list that I can share with people. And then also there's around 12 different superpowers that each of us as individuals can tap into, that's a more specific skill set that can help us in our careers as a leader. So we can also go through that uh, when the time's right, Victoria.
Sounds good. Like now?
We can,
I
if
want
everybody wants it. You all like that?
well the wanted to yes I just want to add to this three primary roles. The challenge with the roles that we play, if we can't see it as it is, right, we can't own it. And that's why part of being a superhero is to be able to own every roles. And what I know is that when I feel like a victim, or when I feel like someone did something to me, from that visual, and from the how I see the world, everyone else is a villain. And then all from that mode and from that state, the only approach that I can have is to wait for someone else to save me, which is a typical fairy tale story. And that's why understanding this can be very transformative for the right people who want to be their own hero, and to have the understanding, and to really to be the one, uh, which for me, through this process, understanding this as a way out of it, right? If I want something, I'm the only one who can be my own hero, and I can choose to work with whoever I want to create and the result I want, and to work with the people that I want to work with without making anyone wrong, without making myself wrong, or without making other people wrong. I just want to share that.
Well, to add to that, because I'm a romantic, and I believe in love, and I believe in having your ideal life and your ideal career, your ideal business, your ideal relationship, your ideal health. So I believe in these ideals. You could say I'm an idealist, but I'm also a realist. So, from an ideal point of view, as a romantic believing in love, I see life as a journey. Yes, we all see it as a journey. But how about taking it up a level and seeing it? Okay, we know about the hero's journey, but what about each and every one of us being on a quest? And a quest is something where we're in search of something valuable and we go on a journey looking for that. Some say the Holy Grail, from Camelot legends, and we're on a quest. And what are we on a quest for? We're on a quest to leave the victim behind, the victim in us, and to wrangle with our villain. And the quest is to move from victim to villain and then to eventually graduate that story as a hero. And in order to be a hero, we have to acquire the virtues of a hero. And for those of you who are interested, I have qualities, values, and virtues listed on Renaissance for Leaders that you can see what are the qualities, values, and virtues of a hero. And these are what you set out to acquire when you're on this quest. This is a much more romantic way of thinking about life than looking at it as just, the acquisition of money, the acquisition of a role, a position, acquiring status, being powerful, being recognized, being famous. These things are not qualities, values, or virtues. But the qualities, values, and virtues that you acquire on the quest, they come by dealing with the dragons and the demons and the difficulty and the challenges that are a reflection along the way of what's going on inside us. So this, looking at it as a quest to arrive at your hero's destination where you have brought home all your superpowers. When you have one superpower, that's very empowering. But when you have a whole collection of superpowers, it makes you a unicorn. So you become a unicorn at the end of the quest where you have a whole bunch of superpowers, not just one. Because why limit it to one? Hey, who said we can only have one superpower? Why not keep acquiring them and get more and more? So this quest sounds a lot more exciting to me. What do you reckon, Victoria? You're on a quest, aren't you? The quest for values and
Definitely.
virtues and qualities.
Yeah. Yes. I wanted to say that it's interesting how you describe about the acquisition from conventional point of view where we acquire success, acquire power. It's all about what I can get. Get. I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna get. Whereas a quest is more like an adventure, it's more a discovery. As I acquire more virtue, more values, more qualities, my confidence level go up, and I actually achieve more in less. And it's
Yeah.
not just a feel good. I just want to say the discovery process is not a feel good thing that, oh, I feel great about what I'm doing. It's a journey. For me, those are justification. You got to, I still need to achieve result along the way to help me to validate whether I'm on the right track or not. If along the process I don't achieve anything, but it's all feel good, right? Then it's a waste of time. It's about being able to achieve the result I want while acquiring the qualities and virtues and you know uh what else? Qualities and virtues and values.
Qualities,
And
virtues,
then
and
along
values.
the way, correct. And along the way you achieve some, you lose some, and yeah, and it's just part of the journey.
Yeah. And
It's like an adventure.
it's much more exciting to think about it as a quest than as a struggle and as I'm failing all the time. Because along the way with your quest, how do you acquire a virtue is by playing out the opposite. And that's the part of the villain. If you want to acquire the virtue of patience, how are you going to acquire patience but by being impatient? So you have to run out impatience, and then you say, I'm sick of being impatient. I'm tired of being impatient. I'm impatient with being impatient. And then how do I acquire its opposite, which is patience? So then I practice more patience, and eventually I overcome impatience and I become patient, and I have that ability. So then I can acquire that as a virtue, and that becomes one of my powers, is that I'm patient, that I can wait, that I don't, make up stuff or get upset, etc. And then all the failures that I have are not seen as failures. They're seen as stepping stones where I'm learning along the way and I'm acquiring a virtue. So if I start a business and the business fails, then I learn from that. I'm acquiring the virtue. I'm acquiring the superpower of starting a business. I keep going. If I quit, obviously, I'm not going to learn anything. And if I tell myself, "Oh, I should never have started that business. I should never have done that," then I've given up on it. I'm telling myself a story, and then I'm explaining away why I'm a victim, instead of saying, "Okay, so I'm a villain here. How can I step into hero? How can I acquire that as a superpower?" So, on that note, Victoria, shall we talk about the superpowers that come from the movies and stories,
Yep.
and from Superman, and not only Superman, but we have Spider-Man, Superman, and so many of these different characters that we have superpowers as examples. And I'll put myself just on the large screen, Victoria, for a moment while we're looking at this.
For it.
Here we go. I'll just put this up so you all can see it. This is superpowers. Oh, I love this. Look at this. Body manipulation. These are powers of the body. Self-replication, body parts, claws. Animal powers. Whew. Insect, spiders. Superhuman ability, super strength. Of course, these are from the movies. Mastery, performance arts, master of puppetry, martial arts. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Force control, control the fundamental forces of gravity, can fly. Magic, Shazam. We got Black Adam, Scarlet Witch, generate hexes, woo, teleportation. And then what else do we have? We have weapons based. Goblin. Powers of the mind, telepathy, precognition, affecting probability, telekinesis, telekinetics. Then we have object manipulation, making plants grow, manipulate water, change the color of objects, increase the mass of objects. Doctor Doom. So these are fun and they entertain us, but these are all qualities or powers that we would all wish that we could have some of them, and we can play out our fantasies with I-beams like Cyclops and whatnot, and manipulate the forces around us. But then how do we take the inspiration and the entertainment from all these different superpowers and bring them into our everyday life and into our leadership and into our relationships? So if we take it to another level, then I'll go through the list of superpowers that we can acquire. And then how do we do that? I'll bring you back on the screen here, Victoria. How do we do that? Well, how many of you are familiar with Ikigai? It's become very popular lately, and we've heard a lot of talk about Ikigai from all kinds of places. Just type yes if you're familiar with Ikigai.
Thank you.
Type yes in the chat if you're familiar with Ikigai. So this is a variation of Ikigai here. And
Harrison,
your superpowers are at the convergence of these 4 circles, where you have your purpose, you have what's profitable, what you can make money doing, you have what your talent is, and you have your passion. You seem to be unclear for me, Victoria. I don't know if other people are seeing you with a lack of clarity. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, there you are. Maybe your connection's not all there. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so this is a variation of Ikigai, a simplified version. And you can see that the zone for you, your superpower, is at the convergence of these circles. So you have to have a natural talent for it. You have to be able to make money at it. And it has to serve a higher purpose and be aligned with your passion. Because if you're not passionate about it, how are you going to sustain it over the long term? And if it serves no purpose, how are you going to sustain it in the long term? So there's no flow. But your raison d'etre, or your life's work, is there in the middle. That's where your optimum mojo is. That's where all your superpowers will converge. And a superpower is something that is, you make it look easy. Once you've acquired it and you can do it, you have mastery over it, and you make it look easy. And then other people can admire you and say, wow, how did you do it? It looks like magic. So from the outside, when people are observing, it looks like magic, but it isn't, because you've acquired all the virtues, qualities, and values that give you that as a skill, as a power. And then we seem to have lost Victoria altogether. So you've got me for a while. So people saying, yes, 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 you're familiar with Ikigai. So this one is a simplified version to make it easier to understand there. And so let's take a look at some of the specific superpowers, starting with empathy. So empathy is a superpower. Empathy, so being able to empathize and feel the feelings that other people are experiencing, but to feel it in your body. So you know what they're feeling, and you can perceive that, you can feel it. Hi, Victoria, you're back, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going through the specific ones, starting with empathy. And these come from the design company IDEO. And IDEO has a Finding Your Superpower self-paced course that you all is highly recommended for everybody to take. It's not something we recommend as in we don't make money off it, but we recommend IDEO because they have a lot of very, very good content and know-how. So the second one from empathy is experimentation. So if you look at experimenting, a lot of people, they want certainty before they will take a risk, before they will jump in and do something. But here with experimentation, you can master anything by doing small tests and experimenting where the risk is very low. And like experimenting with investment, you experiment with a small amount of money. And when that's successful, you ramp up the money and the risk is a lot lower. So from someone looking from the outside, your superpower is that you have this confidence, but what they don't realize is that the superpower that you have is built on experimenting. So this is a superpower. Victoria, you want to add anything as I go on?
So with this, right, how do people with I think it's a great way to help people understand the power of experimentation. If people are over, if they have too much fear, they are worried about making a mistake, and let's say they try a little bit at a time, and every time they try, they lose. How do they overcome that?
Well, you keep going and you keep adjusting. They say the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing repeatedly and getting the same result and not changing something. So if you experiment, to do an experiment, you use the same conditions and you just change one thing at a time until you get the result you want. So you do it systematically, which is another superpower. Systematic thinking, systems thinking is a superpower. So this experimentation is something that we all should master because it reduces the risk of anything. For leaders, you can test something out and experiment with it before you roll it out to everybody. You can test it with one person before you do it with 10 or 100 or 1,000. You can test a marketing strategy on a small scale before you ramp it up to a big scale. So this is a superpower that we all want to develop. Okay, the next one
That's
is
true.
gap detection. Hey, these are very specific, don't you think, Victoria? These are not fluffy. They're not like, oh, my superpower is that I'm happy all the time. This is very fluffy. This is very specific. So gap detectors see where the gaps are and what's missing.
Yes, I agree.
Very
Which means
specific.
your data has to be accurate.
That's right. So you can see
It's not
from
how you feel. It's not how I feel.
this gap detector, some people, I'm just going to bend down so that you can see behind me, but a lot of people can't see anything wrong with that image. But you can see that there's a larger gap between the last dot and the other dots. So they're all bunched together, and this one is there's a big gap between those two. And this is a superpower to be able to see that with pixel, precision. And it's something that can be developed. That's the thing that's magic about finding these superpowers, Victoria, is that we can develop them through trial and
Yeah.
error and by going on that quest. And we can develop more than just one. And I know I said that
Well,
already, but this is
yeah.
something that can't be stressed enough, that we can have multiple superpowers. Go on.
But one of the way to see our gap accurately is to increase our perception, our accuracy in our perception. Like one of the example you like to give is when we are traveling. If I'm physically in Singapore, but in my mind I think I'm in KL. So and I want to fly to Los Angeles. The ticket I'm going to buy is going to be based on where I think I am at. If I think I'm in KL while physically in Singapore, I'm going to buy the wrong ticket. It's going to get me, it's going to cost me money and energy, and then frustration because I keep thinking I'm in KL while I'm actually in Singapore. So that's the gap that, I think a lot of people, that's one of my, I would say, that's one of the things I notice in many of us where our perception is off, then our ability to bridge the gap will be very minimum. In fact, sometimes it's impossible.
Yes. Speaking of gaps like that, and you're bridging your perception, is that's a new paradigm of leadership, that the leader would have multiple superpowers. In the old model of leadership, old style, old world leaders have one primary superpower, and that is that they're in charge, they're in the position. So they have position power, and then they dominate, command, and control from that position by telling everybody what to do, by setting the rules of the game, by enforcing the rules of the game, by punishing people who step outside the line, by forcing compliance. And this is old paradigm leadership. And here, what we have with new paradigm leadership is that all of these superpowers are something that each and every one of us can develop. And the ones that we should start with are the ones that are easiest for us to acquire, and the ones that we take for granted usually, right?
Yes. Hey, I wanted now that you mentioned about the old style and the new style, right? And the other thing that I hear a lot of leaders complain about is managing expectation. So there's a gap management on its own, gap detection. So a lot of time we have frustration around managing expectation is because our expectation of where we want somebody to be at is different from where they are really at. So from that place, the expectation is off, and it will lead to a lot of lack of effectiveness in how we lead and influence the other person because we expect them to be A when they are B, and then we try to lead them thinking that they are supposed to be A. So that's part of the gap differences that people are not aware of too.
That's very good with that gap management, isn't it? So what we're
Yes.
doing here today is talking about it in terms of being a superpower, because
Yeah.
previously we talked about it as a skill that is something that everybody should develop as a leader. But if you look at it as a superpower, then it becomes more exciting to master this gap detection and bridging that gap.
Yeah.
Very good. So grit, Victoria. We had earlier,
Yes.
Karen mentioned grit. So
Yeah.
this is a superpower.
Yeah. I think grit is quite commonly talked about, where resilience, you can overcome challenges, you don't let failure or you don't let small challenges get in the way of going for what you want. Which is honestly is easy to say, but most people can't do it. Most people give up after one or two try. Most people don't even ask, don't even get started. They can't even get started. In order to have grit, we got to get started first. And to adapt and to face our failure and to confront our feeling around whenever we feel, how do we feel about ourselves, how do we feel about how other people see us. There's so many. It's actually emotional. To me, grit is about emotional awareness and able to be have resilience emotionally.
So those scaredy
It's
cat.
not willpower, it's not mental power, it's emotion.
So you're saying that grit is an emotional superpower. So it's
That's
your
right.
perseverance and stick to it isness. So tenacity, your endurance, and your focus over time comes from emotion.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people, they're so scared
Yeah.
of making mistakes, they don't have the grit. So they'll try something once and then give up and say it didn't work, instead of saying,
Yeah.
There is a way and I'm going to find it. No matter what happens, I'm going to find a way to get this done." That's grit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whew,
And
so much
also
to talk about.
if you have a clear, yeah, if you have a clear purpose, you have a clarity where you're heading, you're going to have more chances of having more grit. If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter. There's nothing can, it doesn't matter what happened. Everything, it looks difficult when you don't know where you're going.
Excellent. So the next one is harmonizing. So harmonizing is about the team having harmony, where you have these disparate talents, these disparate superpowers, and you're able to harmonize them for a common vision or purpose. So harmonizing them is a superpower. And having harmony in your life, like doing the Tao, having a balance between yin and yang, this harmony that you have between forces, to me, very much a superpower. And I think it's underrated in Western culture, and it's forgotten a lot in Eastern culture. That's one of the reasons that I like to be based in Singapore, is because coming from a Western point of view, Western ideas are, about domination and doing it my way and forcing values on the world, and being harsh and being forceful. And if they don't agree, we just bomb them. That's a Western point of view. Whereas from an Asian one, you want more harmony and you want more talking and more cooperation and collaboration, and harmony is valued. So harmonizing is a superpower that is much easier for the East than it is for the West. And that's something I appreciate here.
Actually, Harrison, you brought up a good point. I think a lot of lack of harmony in different relationships, and our ability to have more harmony in the society is the lack of communication. People don't talk. They don't talk to each other. They don't solve issues. And the ability to resolve and to come up with a resolution and to talk things through, a lot of people don't have the energy or the skill set to do it. And guess what? It comes back to the lack of ability to handle our own emotion when we don't get what we want, when we don't agree with something. Then we become frustrated, and when in that frustration, we become angry, frustrated, and in that frustration, because we can't deal with our upset, we just don't say anything.
Yeah, indeed. Very good point. So the next one is ingenuity. These are the ingenious people, huh? That's the superpower. You genius, you. We, each and every one of us, have this in us, but we don't develop it and we don't nurture it. And it's something that we can acquire on our quest, because having that ingenuity is tied to creativity and problem solving, isn't it? And
Yes,
the next one is motivation as a superpower. Motivators know how to get the best performance out of people. So you not only understand your own motivation, but you're able to motivate others to get the job done, and for them to deliver more than they think they're capable of delivering, to go to extraordinary levels and have a dream team. It takes having a leader who can motivate, and this motivation is a superpower. Some people just have this natural gift. They seem to have a natural gift because we meet them when they've already developed that as a superpower, and we didn't see all the struggles they went through when they sucked at it. Anything to add to
that's
that
right.
before we move to the next one?
No, I think, well, I guess for me, motivation comes from, if I can't motivate myself, my ability to motivate other people is going to be limited. How do I motivate other people when I can't even motivate myself? So it all start from myself, right? Be my own hero, motivate myself first, and then from there I can motivate other people. And also, if I don't understand what are the obstacles or challenges that gets in the way of my own motivation, how can I effectively help other people with their motivation and what's in the way of them being more motivated?
Yes, indeed.
So it's not just about rah rah, you can do it, you can do it. That is very limited.
Well, that's encouragement. To understand motivation, it's understanding that people do things for their reasons, not yours, and you help them to connect to the reasons why they want to do something and it's in their best interest. And then you don't have to motivate them because they will spontaneously and naturally do it, because most people are self-interested. So you just need to tap the power of that
That's right.
self-interest. This is indeed a superpower.
That's right.
And this one, oh my. Negotiation as a superpower. If you can't negotiate, you are leaving money on the table. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. That's what I was taught in negotiation class. So negotiation as a superpower to arrive at something that's sustainable, long-term win-win, where each side gets what they want and is happy with it. This here is a superpower. And negotiating a salary increase, negotiating higher prices, negotiating
Harrison, can you
better
repeat
terms of
that again?
delivery. Which one? Which one, Victoria? I lost you for a minute there.
Shit, right?
I lost
Yeah,
you.
you
Can you
don't get
repeat?
what you deserve. Yeah, the connection is.
Yes. You don't
So
get
what you
what you
say
deserve.
what you said, that's a good point because you get what you negotiate.
Yes, I'll say it again too, because I couldn't hear you, just to make sure everybody gets it. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. And some people are
And I
anti-negotiation.
think yeah. And I think I want to say that even that sentence itself has got to do with how we feel about what we deserve and what we don't feel we deserve. If we feel that way, then our ability to negotiate will go down. A lot of people think they deserve more and they just feel that I deserve more, but they are not doing their part to negotiate for more.
Well, when you have a low level of power, Victoria, you don't negotiate. But all high level people, high power people, all super successful people, they all negotiate. Nobody takes the first deal offered. Nobody just takes it. There's negotiation with absolutely everything. And it's got nothing to do with what you deserve, because in order to be unhappy and have the other person just give you what they think you should have, and then for you to be unhappy with it, you're just settling and you're not negotiating. You have to be willing to walk. So, Victoria, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more to go through, and we've got 2 minutes. So we'll move to the next one. And then we're having some connection issues from your side. I can't hear you fully. So we'll move through these fairly quickly. So we've got pattern
Sure.
mapping. Pattern mapping. You could say pattern recognition. Where you are overlaying the connections between things and you're seeing what is connected to what. This is very useful as a leader, because somebody can say something at the water cooler and you can connect that to something that happened last week. This is recognizing patterns, and then you can preempt something that's going to happen next week. That's a pattern mapping. And then pacemaking, forging trust effortlessly. That's a superpower, building trust through pacemaking. Hey, wait a minute. Pacemaking. That's an interesting thing, because it says peacemaking, not pacemaking. What the heck? A pacemaker is something you have in your chest, something that sets the pace for a race. This says peacemaking, resolving the conflict and building trust. Problem solving is this next superpower. Problem solving. And then we have provocation, being able to provoke people and to get people off their positions and to get them to react. If you can't get them to react, then how are you going to negotiate the best deal if you stay within the comfortable and everybody's happy and nobody rocks the boat? You're not going to do it. What about recalibration as a superpower? And then we have systems thinking. And I'm saving the best for last, which is my absolute favorite. Systems thinking is where you see everything as a system and you know which part of the system to adjust to get the output that you want. So, systems thinking as a superpower. And the last one, this is my favorite, Victoria. This is my total, one that overrules them all. This is the one ring from Lord of the Rings. This is the one ring that dominates all the others, which is visionary. To have a vision as a superpower, to be able to have a crystal ball and to see what's coming down the pipeline in the future, to see what you have to do today to create something that doesn't exist yet, and to be able to wield the resources and manifest it in real time. This visionary superpower is a really great one to acquire. So that's the list of superpowers, eh, Victoria? Woohoo. So I see you're frozen. Victoria, you appear frozen
Yes,
to me, and I can't hear you talking. So, Victoria, if you can hear me,
I
I can't hear you. What I'd like you to do, Victoria, Victoria, if you can leave the room and come and see me over here, and you can take my chair. All right. We will be wrapping up shortly when Victoria gets here. She has disappeared altogether. So let me call her so she can have some finishing remarks. Victoria, hello. So while we wait for her to return, I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining our live session this week, where we talk about finding your superpower. We talked about uh, the journey, the quest from victim to villain to hero, and that's where you find your superpower, is in the journey between the two. And it's in that process that you discover who you are and you acquire the qualities, virtues, and values of superpower.
uh,
So, Victoria, I was just summarizing and I was just about to wrap up, and I will hand over to you for your finishing sharing and wrapping it all up. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye. Here's Victoria.
thank you, thank you. Can you guys hear me? So just making sure you can hear
Yes,
me.
loud
Thank
and
you
clear.
everyone for your participation. It was fantastic. Yeah, the technology issue again. And so I feel that today talking about superpower, I learned a lot myself, because it's not about, I feel that, Harrison went through all these different superpower, and I can understand that sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but it's not about trying to acquire all of them at one go. It's about recognizing which is the one superpower that is more in line with which is the easiest to acquire first, and then from there we can build on it. And to me, the most important superpower that I saw from all the different superpowers is really the vision, because without the vision, everything else is not as easy. And like what I said just now, having vision, having clarity towards where we are heading makes everything a lot easier. Doesn't mean it'll be easy, but it'll be a lot easier than having no vision. And my wish for all of us, for everyone, is to go for yourself and be your own hero. And I really like the quest of a hero journey, the quest in life to acquire the different virtues, qualities. And if you want to talk to us more, if you want, to understand more, happy to have a further chat. And thank you everyone again. Thank you for your time, and au revoir.